Hayley.
And coming to you from Parasaur Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we cannot teach at school.
Prohibited. We asked and they said no.
We asked and we fear that they'll find this podcast.
Let them listen to podcasts. Like, let them eat cake, but not.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, that was not good.
It's kind of like eating cake.
I'm sorry. It's exactly like eating cake. It's cake for the ears.
Yeah, cake for the ear cake. I don't like that.
All right, so we'll do night milk, but not ear cake.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
sorry to draw the line. What are we drinking, Hayley?
We are drinking Provisions Cabernet Sauvignon out of a box, Le Box Vino de Box. It's good. It's fine. It brands itself as everyday fine wines. And I told you why I bought it. It's because at Kroger, they had a deal. Normally it was like $29, but they took $10 off.
That's a great deal.
I was sold.
So technically it's fancier than what we normally drink out of a box.
It is. Yeah. We've gotten this brand before and I think it was a different flavor we didn't really agree with, but this one, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think this one is good. I think my complaint with the last one we got was it was too sweet, but this one isn't really too sweet. I think it's all right.
Yeah. It says it's fresh, full bodied with blackberry and classic flavors.
What's a classic flavor?
It says fine tannins. What is that?
Tannins, I think, is like the bitterness. Like if like a wine is like really like thick and like sits on the back of your tongue, it has a lot of tannins, I think.
Okay.
I don't really know.
So apparently it has that.
Okay.
And spice notes.
Ooh, I like the spice.
Yeah, just a little bit of spicy in it.
I like my wine thick.
She thick. Well, this one isn't too thick.
Yeah, this one's kind of light, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's good.
It says it's a fine wine and it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just fine. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
And it should last us. It's funny. It says enjoy up to 30 days after opening.
To be fair though, I feel like we always get to like the last glass in a box and then we buy a new box and start drinking that. And then like the half, like a cup in a bag in the box sits on our, what do you call it? Like
for the
cart.
remainder, like 29 days of the month.
Exactly. Like our bar cart. And we have like 3 boxes on there that have like 1 cup of wine left. And
that's
like,
so true.
It's like the emergency wine, like rip open and squeeze the bag. And
it's the reserves. It totally is. And that's what we did this time too. We have that other box of wine. That was election day wine.
Ooh.
Or that's what we drank on election day.
I don't know if I can ever drink that one again. I mean, not that anything like terrible happened, but it was a long night.
It was a long night and we still don't know.
Yeah.
We're recording on Friday, November 6th at 7 p.m. and we still don't know.
Things are looking good, but I've been burned before and I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if I can let myself feel happy.
Yeah. Once it's official, I'll officially be happy. Until then, it's, living in limbo is so stressful.
It's so stressful. The day after the election on like Thursday, so I guess that was, on Wednesday, I was so tense all day. Like I was teaching and I was in a chair all day because we're doing virtual teaching. And I was so tense all day that I got home and my whole body ached and my hips were sore the next day because I think I was just clenching all my muscles. I was teaching, but I had like the like vote count open in like a window on my computer and I was just looking at that and
constantly.
Yeah. It was a tense day. I'm still feeling a little tense. I usually write down like what happened in the week that I want to talk about. And I just have question marks because the election has consumed.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
All week.
It's been trying to survive virtual teaching, which I don't know. It's been rough for me. I know it's good for you, which I'm happy about. But it's just been, a stressful week. It has. Yeah. The election has been the main thing. Actually, we did get to watch The Bachelor.
We did get to watch The Bachelorette. What the fuck? I think my face just looked like, what's that like meme of like the chubby little girl and she just like, ugh.
She's like, what is this?
Yeah.
What?
That was my face the entire time.
I was really shocked to see how fast. I really, for some reason, didn't think, a spoiler alert, that Claire and Dale were going to get engaged. I thought it was just going to be like, okay, we're going to go date now off of the show.
That's what it seemed like was going to happen. And then Claire asked like Chris Harrison, she's like, well, what happens? And he's like, well, typically an engagement. And then
she's like, okay.
And then they got engaged after they had talked for like an hour.
With that big ass engagement ring.
She icy. It was big.
Yeah. She's trying to break her wrist just lifting up that ring on her finger.
I know. Kind of jelly.
Are you?
No.
I'm like, I don't really care that much. Like my future, hopefully, engagement ring could be made out of glass. And I
agree.
Really
I want a fake ring so it can be bigger.
Yes. I agree. Don't give me a little diamond. Give me a big ass piece of glass. And then that way,
I want to knock people out with it.
When I inevitably lose it, it won't be that big of a deal. Right. We can just buy another one.
They look fake diamonds look identical to real diamonds in my eyes, so I don't see the issue.
Give me a fake ring for every mood that I could possibly be in.
Ooh.
Give me like an antique one. Give me a classic one. Give me a princess cut. Give me a heart-shaped one if I'm feeling like extra.
Yeah, I want a wedding ring wardrobe.
Yeah. So first we just have to secure
Poor Alec is sitting. He's like,
oh
my God. The handkerchief out, like dabbing my brow.
No, you should be glad if it works out that way. Then you just have to get glass.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's all costume jewelry. I don't need anything real. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have any money, so I don't expect it.
It'll be better that way.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, that's really all I have. Like nothing has happened in my life except for turning on the news as soon as I wake up, watching the news on silent while I teach, and then getting home and watching the news again. That's it.
Well, we get to watch something exciting tonight, the movie that your mom was in.
That's true. So I talked about my mom's movie a little bit. It's called They Reach. It's an indie horror film. It was shot in my hometown, but it's actually doing really well. It's been like getting recommended in like news articles, and it was like top 50 on Amazon.
That's like, amazing.
Yeah, it's doing well, and it is able to be streamed. At first they weren't sure and it was just on DVD, but now you can stream it on Amazon. So I think we're going to try to watch it tonight. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, it'll be really good. My mom plays like the witchy librarian.
Oh, that's so fitting.
Yeah.
I've never even met your mom actually, but
that's so
shout
weird.
Out, Stephanie.
I feel like you guys have like, I feel like it's weird that you met my dad before you met my mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's happened with any of my friends.
It was just circumstance sake. I'll come to home with you.
Yeah.
In like the summer, I think we talked about. So
that's sometime. Someday.
Someday. Hopefully COVID is cleared up a little bit by then.
Yeah.
But that's been about it.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully our next president does a better job.
I think he will.
I think he will too, if everyone else cooperates, which who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
Anyway. I do actually have something exciting to announce for Night Classy. So we have a new Patreon this week.
And she's an awesome Patreon.
She's so awesome. If every Patreon could just be that way, level up to Hayley Himes.
Okay,
level.
I don't want to know if we want to tell like our Patreons to level up. They're already doing the most.
I'm just joshing. But actually, though, it's been a lot of fun interacting with Hayley. She's from Ravenna, Ohio. And guys, we love hearing from anyone who listens to the show. You know, you're not just a family member that we had to bribe to listen to the podcast.
It blows my mind every time someone like starts listening and gets excited about this because we're so excited about it. And I just can't, like, I'm so grateful every time someone is enthusiastic, and she's so enthusiastic, and we truly appreciate it so much. Mm-hmm. She's amazing.
Yes, thank you, Hayley, for joining the Patreon family.
Thank you.
Patreon fam.
Patreon fan, thanks so much.
Yeah, and Hayley listens to all 34 episodes in about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so we just have to bow to her. And
weeks. She listened to all 34 episodes, and I think she also listened to all of our Patreon episodes.
Yeah, she's a super fan. We love you.
She's amazing.
Yes, we do love you. This
aspire to be that way. Even with my favorite podcasts, I don't interact with them, and she makes me feel guilty that I'm not like being a fan enough for podcasts I listen to every day.
Yeah.
She's the best. So thank you, Hayley. We love and appreciate you. Well, we breathalyzed.
We did. Something crazy happened.
Crazy.
Something we never thought would happen before. We blew the exact same thing.
Recount the votes.
We both get to be hosts.
I'm declaring myself the winner.
No. Cheater. There's no way. There's no way. It only makes sense.
Happening
It
right
only
now.
makes sense that you would have cheated to get the same number as me.
The
so
breathalyzer
you
has an agenda.
could go first.
I'd like to file an order with the courts to not allow the breathalyzer to be used again.
What if we had like a whole court of other breathalyzers? You're like, okay, it's in your hands.
3 other ones, and we just split the difference between all 3. The mean is what it is. We have
The
to
absentee
breathalyze.
breathalyzer.
And then we cut to MSNBC, and they're all like, "No, there's no legal precedent for this to happen. Like, we all need to calm down."
Just chill out.
Yeah. Well, we blew the same number, and so I went first last time. So I'm gonna hand the baton to Hayley.
Thank you. I have the baton now.
She does, and the baton looks like a breathalyzer.
A dirty breathalyzer that we haven't washed the freaking
It's
mouth.
never been washed.
We did wash it one time. I did wash it one time in
That's
the
probably
old
why
house.
it's always wrong. It just has a bunch of alcohol sitting in it.
Is it always wrong? You know this to be true? So you can confirm that
I just have a hunch
We're
that
putting out-
the breathalyzer is stacked against us, and there's some conspiracy going on.
it wants us to fight about who goes first.
I
or
have no
second.
evidence.
I just have a feeling. My
Yeah.
gut tells me. Well, so sad. Too bad I'm going first. Well, welcome to Miss Madden's class. By the end of this lesson, you are going to be able to tell me the history or really the origin of a common phrase that you've heard before. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll figure it out because I don't want to give it away. But
I like how you gave the objective. Students will be able to tell us the origin of a common phrase.
I have been working very hard to make my lessons objective driven and scaffold them and make sure they're differentiated. So, I'm a teacher and this is a podcast with teachers. So
There you go.
teachers gonna teach.
Teachers be teaching.
So in the famous words of Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire, even though 2020 has felt like a dumpster fire in a diaper on top of a pile of rotten pumpkin.
Like on our porch.
Yeah. It's really been, in some regards, like a crappy year. It's just felt like everything's been on fire for a little while now. And I mean, I guess we did kind of ring in the year with, the Australian fires.
Oh, I forgot about that. So much
I
has
know,
happened.
right? So much has happened. Yeah, I think back to January being like, oh my God, I have to be able to do something about these fires in Australia. Like, let me donate some money, being so concerned about these Australian fires, having no idea what else was coming.
It was like the fireworks of 2020.
Yeah. Oh God.
Like
what
ringing in a
please?
terrible year.
Yeah. It did. So hopefully by the time, 2021 comes around, it's, just snap of the fingers, just like that.
It's our 21st birthday. Things are going to be fun.
Yeah. So what does that mean as far as our alcohol intake for the
Oh
our
God,
21st year?
Maybe it'll increase. I don't know how after 2020 it could increase anymore and not be a problem.
Yeah,
but-
we were just talking back to quarantine when it was just like taking walks and having
Oh
a
my God,
margarita
I know.
and the tumbler.
like I was very privileged and like privileged beyond belief during quarantine where I still had a paycheck but didn't have to do anything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I look back on it pretty fondly. Like
It was pretty cushy.
it was cushy.
It was very
Alec and I would go on like a 2-hour walk every day and then make margaritas. It was the best.
Yeah, but for some people it was on fire.
True.
So
yeah. And I'm not trying to make light of a
Oh,
terrible
absolutely
tragedy.
not.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But we are talking about one really big, really specific fire. I'm going to start out with the Great Fire of London. Do you know about this?
No. I mean, kind of, but I know nothing about it.
Okay, you know that it happened.
Yeah.
You know that things are on fire. Okay. Yeah. Sweet. So there's a reason why it has its own name. First of all, this fire burned for 4 days straight. It started on September 2nd and ended on September 6th of 1666. And as you can imagine, 4 days of fire creates a lot of destruction. The city of London was obliterated. It started in a bakery. It burned almost 90% of the homes and buildings in the medieval city of London.
My God.
Yeah, it was insane. So it started in this bakery, and the wind that night was just so strong. It essentially created this firestorm that just ate up the city. And it made it really easy for it to eat up the city because all of the houses and buildings were built really tightly together. You didn't have, buses or cars or anything like that back then. People were just, carrying carts and shit like that. So they didn't need wide roads or anything.
Carrying carts and shit.
Yeah. They were, it's 1666. There's only so much you can do. And there were no codes or regulations about how close you could build houses. So they're all tucked in really close. And point B is that they were all constructed of timber covered in another highly flammable substance called pitch. So it made it really easy for everything to just burn when there was a fire. Also, one of the sources that I read, they noted, they were like, yeah, so this happened. And also they used fire a lot for a lot of things, like cooking and baking and whatever, but they didn't really know much else about it. They didn't know what was flammable or not. I
kind of get it. I still don't really understand what fire is.
I don't understand fire. I don't understand electricity. Fire.
I'm sorry.
We know it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
We know it can be bright.
Yes.
We know that it's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about the same thing that they knew then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't argue with them.
Fires were pretty common also. And not only were all these buildings made of extremely flammable products, but they hold extremely flammable materials, like a bunch of hay to feed all the animals that source their lives.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just picturing the fire as that Shaq meme, like rubbing his hands together and licking his lips.
Wait, what?
The Shaquille O'Neal meme where he's like,
oh, yes. I think I do. Actually, I said yes.
I mimed it. That's really good on a podcast. Oh, maybe. Oh, he's not rubbing his hands or licking his lips.
Oh,
wow.
You're thinking of the guy behind the tree.
Okay, I'm getting the one mixed up where Shaq's wiggling his shoulders in the orange shirt, and then the one with a guy behind a tree.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I combined them into one thing in my head, but that's what the fire looks like.
He's licking his lips behind a tree, rubbing his hands together. Yes, this is the medieval city planners. They're like, let's make everything made out of wood and just put a bunch of hay
and
all
then
up
the fire
in there.
is like,
Yeah. And then the other meme to go along with this lesson is the dog sitting in fire saying, "This is fine."
Yeah. And the SpongeBob meme where everything in SpongeBob's head is on fire and they're all running around.
All I know is fine dining and breathing. What's his name? He doesn't even say my name, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone.
All I know is timber and pitch. What is flammable? Yeah, so they had no knowledge on what fire was, how to fight fires. People would try to use leather buckets to fight fires. They used axes to fight fires.
That sounds like shit I would do.
Yeah.
What? I guess if you cut everything down and knock the houses down, it'll burn.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk
Yeah.
about that. A fire break. They also used water squirts. I don't really know what that is. I don't know do you know what a water squirt is?
I'm picturing a squirty animal gun, like a dolphin,
Do they have that in 1666?
Who knows?
They had no idea that timber was flammable, but they did know how to
squirty animals.
stop the growth of dolphins, keep them in water, and use them at the most opportune time.
Stop the growth of dolphins.
Yeah, like a little dolphin, because you're not going to be able to like lug a whole full-size
No,
dolphin.
I was with you. It's just an absurd premise.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cute. Also,
That would be cute.
fun fact, my mom was such a hippie that I wasn't allowed to have squirt guns as a child. I could only have squirt animals. So we only had like the little dolphin squirties.
I think I will probably be that mom too. Not
Yeah,
gonna
me
lie.
too. No guns.
Yeah, no guns. But if you want to learn about them, we can learn about them at the proper age. Anyway. So, like you said before, the main technique actually for fighting fires was fire breaks. And those can happen naturally in the case of a river or a lake where just things that can be burned stop existing. But they can also be man-made. So that could be like a break in the buildings if there's a large road. But like I said, they didn't really have those. So what they would do to make fire breaks would be just to demolish buildings just ahead of the fire to stop the spread. So that's what they were trying to do. They could have done that in London in this case, and it could have saved a lot more of the city. It could have taken a lot less than 4 days to extinguish the fire, but the Lord Mayor, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, yeah. First of all, a lot of people from this time are noted as having described him as a yes man. He wasn't really elected as someone who could actually handle the job.
I mean, his name, his Lord was in his name, right? So did
Lord
he just
Mayor,
get to do it?
Lord Mayor is just the mayor of Parliament. Yeah.
I don't know anything about Britain.
Basically, yes, he did just get to do it because he would just say yes to the next person in charge.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, he had no fucking clue what to do. He was very indecisive. He didn't do anything about the fire. And would you believe it? It got worse. He
Wow.
didn't tell the people about the fire, and the fire spread. He did nothing.
It almost sounds like something else I know.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
having deja vu. It's
hard
so
to-
crazy.
It's hard to put my finger
Yeah,
on
it's
it,
just
but
at the
there.
tip of my tongue.
My trunk.
That was purposeful. BT dubs. Did I trick you? Anyway. Okay. So when he was pressed to take action, Sir Thomas Bloodworth was just, he was looking at the fire and said, "A woman could piss it out." And then he left. As he's watching,
Woman.
yeah, a woman.
She could squat over it.
Yeah, she could just spread those legs like Horish women do and put that fire out.
Did they try it?
A woman, no, could not, in fact, piss it out. And he literally just left, like he left the city,
Bye.
like a brave man does.
I mean, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah, but you're also not the mayor.
That's true.
And you also I don't envision you as someone in a position of power doing nothing.
I thought you were going to stop
No,
at position of power.
No, I could definitely see you in a position of power. You are a position
I'm
of
a teacher.
power.
I'm very powerful.
Yeah, you're
over
a teacher,
11-year-olds.
You're a podcaster. You have influence. Influence is power.
I can totally see Trump saying a woman could piss out the fires in California.
He probably has said it.
Yeah.
The gender revealed that it was a female. She could just piss it out. All right. They finally got the fire under control after 4 days of constant destruction. Thankfully, not that many people died because they could see the fireball coming at them, but the city was pretty much destroyed. So that was a huge downside.
What would you do?
I don't know. There was one guy who had a diary from this time. I think his name was Sir something. I know it's Pepys, Sir Pepys. It's P-E-P-Y-S.
Sir Pepys.
Sir Pepys. How would you pronounce it? P-E-P-Y-S.
P-E-P-Y. Yeah, Pepys.
Sir Pepys.
Pepys. I don't know.
Pepys. paprika. Who knows? There's no way to know. But they have a diary, and he observed this entire fire and how people reacted. And that's how we got a lot of the quotes from this time. But one of the things that they advised people to do was, first of all, just leave your belongings. Just go. There's a huge fireball coming your way. And if you'd like to, just bury anything that's important to you in the ground so that it doesn't burn. You can hopefully go and recover it later. And he did that. Any guesses on what 2 things he buried that I think we would also bury?
Ooh.
Wine.
Ding, ding, ding.
And
it's another food product.
bread.
Ooh, you're so close.
Pizza.
Ooh, even closer. You're hot. You're on fire.
Pasta.
No, cheese.
Cheese. Okay.
Yes. He buried his wine in cheese and was later able to recover it.
Good choice.
But that's just a little fun fact. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of temporary buildings were erected after this fire, and they were just that. They were just temporary. They were in terrible condition. Disease spread like crazy. A ton of lives were claimed to that and the cold winter that followed after this.
But they had the fire to keep them warm.
You know, after you burn the whole city down, there's not much left to burn.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Things were looking pretty fucking bleak. Sir Christopher Wren, he was the newly designated city planner. He was ready to plan the new London. It would end up taking over 30 years to rebuild the city, but a lot of changes came with it. Big changes specifically in fire safety and fire prevention. So the people of London, they were like, you know, maybe it is in our best interest to figure out how to make the utilization of fire more safe. Maybe this is something we should really put our minds to. And they did. New regulations were set into place to make fireplaces, which were common amongst like people in power, really wealthy families in the home. Eventually, it expanded upon just one fireplace in the house to they wanted a fireplace in every single room in their house, which was fine until the whole city of London burns down from, you know, it just being not right.
Sometimes
not constructed right.
Too many fires.
Too many fires. Too big of a fire. It was just crazy. But these new regulations changed it so that fireplaces had to be smaller so that you had not as big fires, obviously.
Were there just huge fireplaces?
Yeah, they were massive. There was no regulation on it at all. So they made them smaller, and they were like, okay, this will give us a lesser chance of burning the whole city down. It'll be great. And then in my notes, I made a joke about, you know, you still have your chance to burn the whole city down with a gender reveal. So different strokes for different folks, but we already kind of talked about that. Yeah. So at this point, Great Britain is being completely revitalized. They're getting these smaller fireplaces and everything is going great. Everyone's on board with this. They're like, okay, we can listen to the government about this until the hearth tax. So the hearth tax is considered to be one of the first types of progressive taxes. And what would happen is inspectors would go around to houses and look and see how many chimneys do they have. And however many chimneys they had, the higher the tax would be, because the more wealthy people could have more fireplaces. So they were going to be taxed more because they had more money.
Yeah.
And so the rich were like, please, no, God, please, no, I need an excessive amount of money.
Was that an Office reference?
Yes.
There has to be at least 5 every episode.
So they devised a plan. They're like, okay, we're going to keep our fireplaces, but we're just going to have one chimney.
Oh my God.
We're going to redirect all of the fireplaces to the same chimney throughout the house. So they did that. And everything was going just fine. Everything was totally fine. Everything was chill. But fireplaces, they create a bunch of soot and they have to be cleaned pretty often. And so to keep this dirty air from coming back into the house, they had to figure out a way to clean these really wacky fireplaces without getting, you know, alerted to the tax people. And they had to figure out a way to get these really small fireplaces cleaned. And they had chimney sweeps. And chimney sweeps, they go back all the way. Like the first evidence of them is in the 13th century of Italy. And it's a pretty respectable position. And it's something that's like a craft. It's something that is highly respectable. People do it. But they need a different breed of these chimney sweeps because these new chimneys are very small. The average one is 9 inches by 36 inches. And they're janky as hell because they're all being redirected and slanted and turned to fit in the walls of the house and to go out this one chimney so the rich don't get taxed on multiple chimneys. So as the chimneys got smaller, so did the chimney sweeps.
Is this going to be about shoving children up chimneys so the rich don't have to be taxed?
Yes, that's exactly what this is
Some
about.
things never change.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's never changed.
Great.
So young boys, occasionally girls were put into indentured servitude to clean chimneys under apprenticeship.
How fucked up can people, I mean, very fucked up.
Very
Yeah.
fucked up. So these child chimney sweeps basically was slavery under the guise of indentured servitude. Orphans who chose to be sweeps could do it.
chose, quote unquote.
Yeah, chose
children.
out of necessity.
Yeah.
They're children. And also it was some of these children's parents who, out of necessity, they were either going to watch them starve with them or they were going to sell these children to be able to have the guarantee of having food, water, and shelter in exchange for their child working as a chimney sweep. So a lot of kids ended up doing this. They depended on the master sweeps who they were under apprenticeship with to, like I said, food, water, shelter. Typically, these kids were between 5 and 11 years old. Very young. The prime age was 6 years old to
my
fit into the
God.
chimney. The youngest known chimney sweep was 3.5 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Babies.
Little babies. They're small. They can contort their bodies. And these sweep masters would keep between, one source said 2 to 20 children at a time. Another source said as many as they could. I think it really depended on the person.
One chimney master would just have like 30 children that they were looking after and putting up chimneys.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Exactly.
That's horrifying.
The conditions were awful. Sometimes the boys were made to buffet, meaning that they just climbed the chimney in the nude. They had, their knees would be rubbed raw. Their bodies oftentimes became deformed because they're spending endless hours day after day in these janky, small chimneys, all contorted. Children would become trapped in the chimneys and die. A lot of them inhaled soot and got cancer, which is considered the first cancer of the industrial era. And if a child was slow or hesitant to climb, the master sweeps or the homeowners would light a fire under them in the fireplace to encourage them to go quicker.
I see.
And
Jesus.
that is where we got the saying, light a fire under your ass.
Wow. I had no idea.
So
We were just talking about sayings and where they came from.
Last night.
Yeah. What were
oh, that's weird.
Aldo told me that Dress for the Nines was that the first 9 rows at like the opera were the most expensive seats. So that's where
Oh,
Dress
that
for the
makes
Nines
sense.
came
Yeah.
from.
Isn't that funny
That's
how
much
you
more
just,
fun than
Yeah,
yours.
this one is very depressing. Do you want to see some depressing pictures?
Not really.
Let's see them.
This one's just a cartoon-esque.
Okay.
So the first one is a boy climbing, and then the second one is kind of how they typically got stuck within the chimney.
Oh my God.
God. So they climbed like vertically.
Yeah. I would have never thought that you could even climb up a chimney. I would be like, there's not enough room to even climb up there. But they would just really shimmy up. They'd have a little brush or they would have a blanket.
And all that soot is just falling into their face probably, right? And
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they would collect the soot because it was valuable. They could use it. They would take it back to their masters, and the masters would sell it to farmers to use as like a fertilizer, like a thing to put in their dirt.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That gives like the picture. It's like, I mean, he's crawling up a chimney like on all fours vertically. And like if you put your knees too far up toward your chest, you get stuck.
That's how you get wedged in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Here's another picture to kind of show you the kind of angles that they would have to get through.
Oh my gosh.
One is just a straight 90-degree angle.
Just
They'd
a
have
right
to-
angle, and you have to like bend your back. Oh my
The other
God.
one's kind of like a sideways. It's like a less than sign.
Yeah.
I don't know how they even did that. I didn't even think this was possible till I heard about it.
Because those shafts depicted look like 10 inches.
Yeah,
wide.
they're tiny.
Yeah,
like
that's literally what they are.
Yeah.
Very small. Here's a bunch. Here's a master chimney sweeper with all of his kids. This is
Where's the master?
He's right over here. He's very small because not many of these master chimney sweepers would live past middle age, and a lot of them, due to all the smoke inhalation and the soot going on them, their growth is stunted. They start this at like 5 years old.
Yeah, it looks like it's a bunch of like young, like 10 or 11-year-old boys dressed in like old fashioned clothes with caps on, and they're all dirty, and they do not look happy.
Yeah.
They look like black-eyed kids or something. They look bad.
It's exactly what you think of when you think of
it's very depressing.
Actual chimney sweep, like in plays and stuff. It's exactly what you would think of. But it didn't go on for a super, super long time. Like it did go on for quite a while. It ended in Great Britain before it ended in the US, because it did eventually, start over here in the United States. But eventually there were movements made to end childhood chimney sweeps, and they figured out a way to, get really long brushes and things like that, so that you didn't have to use humans in your chimney and evade taxes.
Oh my God.
So that was a short and not sweet lesson, but that's what I've got.
All right.
My sources are Chimney Specialist Incorporated, their website, Wikipedia, londonfire.gov.uk, and owlcation.com.
That was super interesting, and now I'm really sad.
Yep, that's what I do.
My lesson won't be sad. Stay tuned. And first, let's hear a word from our amazing new sponsor.
All right, I'm super excited to introduce our new sponsor, Ralphie and Alice.
I am obsessed. Hayley, I'm a huge hoe for lip balm. I got a car lip balm, a nightstand lip balm, a backpack lip balm, purse lip balm, everything. Like my lips are always chapped. And Ralphie and Alice has truly been a life changer.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons for me is that I value them so much that I don't want to lose them. And they're very hard to lose. They're big, but also they're beautiful, and they work extremely well. So I have tried the Pop Sticks. It's a tinted rose balm so that I can be cute, have a little tint to my lip, but also hydrate them. And the On-the-Go scrub for when, you just have some like lip crud skin on your lips. I don't know any other way to describe it, but that's what it is. The Fix Sticks will take care of that so easily.
And they smell amazing.
I know. I almost want to eat them, but then I'm like, no, Hayley.
But it's sugar. And it's all natural ingredients, so you could. And vegan.
I could. Okay. Well, I guess we're doing it out for lip balm and a little snacky snack. So
I think you can technically make it a snacky snack. I don't recommend it, but you could.
I'll try it and let y'all know.
And my personal favorite is just the plain lipsticks. It's a hydrating balm. It has, again, like I said, all natural ingredients. It makes your lips feel so hydrated. There's no weird like tingling going on. It's just pure good. And my other favorite is the Soul Sticks. It's made to protect your skin anywhere. You can put it anywhere, even not your lips, from the sun. But what I really like about it is it has CBD and zinc, which are very soothing. And my lips tend to get inflamed. That's why I'm such a hoe for lip balm. And this really soothes them. And I just cannot stop promoting this product because it is truly amazing.
Oh, yeah. We love it. Night is to classy as Ralphie is to Alice.
Yes, ma'am. We are truly so excited about this sponsor. And if you want your own stick of Ralphie and Alice, head to ralphieandalice.com and use our promo code NIGHTCLASSY. That is all one word, the name of this podcast, no spaces, for 15% off your order.
Do it. Get your lips freaking hydrated.
Kiss dry lips. Goodbye.
Mwah.
Mwah. Hi, welcome to Miss Barnhart's room. We just heard from our sponsors, and then after that, Hayley and I had a little Amy Winehouse
Jam
duet. It was a good time.
It was so fun.
And now we're here at my lesson. So I'm really excited. This is a Patreon pick from our beloved patron, Margaret Sherfy. And she picked an amazing topic, the Winchester Mystery House.
Somehow I have no idea what this even is, but you said that lots of people may have heard of it.
So I'm really excited to think that maybe there's people listening. I'm sure there's people listening that don't know what this is. To me, I've heard about it on a lot of podcasts, but that makes me excited that I get to cover it.
Yeah, you're kind of like an expert. You've put in the hours of listening and learning.
And it's just an amazing topic, which is why it's covered on so many podcasts. So my sources are Wikipedia, National Museums Publications.co, WinchesterMysteryHouse.com, Biography.com, AllThat'sInteresting.com, MentalFloss.com, Patch.com, and then a YouTube video called Tour Winchester Mystery House Inside America's Famous Haunted House by Travel Vlog by Days with Jordan the Lion. Which he went on like a tour inside and kind of like took a bunch of pictures and narrated it. So I watched that and I got some good little snippets from him. So the Winchester Mystery House, we can't talk about without talking about its namesake, which was the family who created, what do you think they created?
The patriarchy.
Wait, Hayley, what? Winchester rifles.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Winchester like in England.
What?
Am I completely mistaken here?
I don't know what's happening.
Like the Queen of Winchester.
I don't know what that is.
That's the Queen, like the Queen of Wales. There's Winchester is the castle or the house that they live in.
Oh, I had no idea about that. But Winchester rifles are what makes.
I have no idea about that.
Well, let me tell you. So we do have to talk about Winchester rifles because that is the family who is responsible for the Winchester Mystery House. So Winchester rifles were invented by someone named Oliver Winchester, and they were the first repeating rifles that were manufactured for the general market.
Repeating like automatic?
Not automatic, but it was the first rifle. Basically what this means, it was the first rifle with a pump. So instead of shooting and then having to reload, you can pump your rifle like and you get another bullet in the chamber. So that made them really popular and really deadly.
Yeah, solve problems, get rich.
Yeah, there you go. The whole saying goes, so you could put, I think, like 6 or 7 bullets in the chamber, something like that. And that was a big deal at the time. And the saying went, you could load your gun on Sunday and shoot all week. And so
a bullet per day keeps the liberals away.
There you go. And the first Winchester gun was the model 1866. That was the year it was made. And it was nicknamed the Yellow Boy because it had a bronze / brass like alloy receiver, so it was kind of yellow. And these guns were purchased in bulk by the French and Ottoman empires at different times to be used in like huge wars in Europe. And they were also made in America. I don't know if I said that, but this was an American family making guns in America, shipping tons of these guns abroad for huge wars. Overall, about 170,000 were manufactured between 1866 and 1898, which was a lot for the time. And in 1873, the Winchester Company manufactured an even more successful rifle. And this model was in production from 1873 to 1923. And it was called the Model 1873. And so over 720,000 of these were produced of this model alone until 1923.
I'm just picturing these rifles dancing, singing that Ciara song, like level up, level up, level up.
That's what they were doing. They were getting better and better. And it was just like, it was the it girl. It was the rifle to have. Everyone wanted it. Only like the people with money had it. It was a big deal. It was also massively popular during the time of Western expansion in the United States. There were all these people moving west. Butch Cassidy and Billy the Kid, like famous frontiersmen, this was their favorite rifle. They were like the poster children of this rifle.
If I was going west, like I'm not into guns personally, but if I was going west, I would be into guns and I would be into that gun.
Yeah. I mean,
not to like kill people, but to like fight off bears, to be very clear.
Bears. So the real threat was understandably the indigenous people defending their land. Yeah. But people like Hayley are taking their rifles.
No. I have Cherokee blood. I am a mixing pot.
Okay, Elizabeth Warren is in the house. So people were moving west using these very deadly for the time rifles, and they were using them to defend themselves against people who were defending their land from being stolen.
Defending themselves against people who were defending themselves.
Yeah. And hold up. I think I said it was the model 1873. It was the model 1887.
So for all our fact checkers out
amend
there.
This. But this gun, the model 1887, was nicknamed the gun that won the West because of all of this. And so they had this huge name. It was the it girl. It was Ciara. It was Beyonce. It was a big deal. And having sold millions of guns, the Winchester family was rich.
Rolling in it.
They were rolling in it. And while Winchester guns are super interesting and Winchester men are okay.
Enthralled.
So enthralled. But the main character of our story, who I want to focus on, is Sarah Lockwood Pardee Winchester. And Sarah was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. Her father was a successful carpenter, and he was a progressive. He mingled with prominent abolitionists and free thinkers of the time. She was raised in this environment where even though she was a woman at this time, she was encouraged to be scholarly. She was incredibly well educated. She learned 4 languages during the time she was a child in school. She was talented in music, math, and science. Some articles even called her a math prodigy. She was a baller. She was also.
Did you say her middle name was Pardee?
Pardee.
Oh,
I think that was her. Close. I think that was her last, or Sarah Lockwood Pardee.
Oh, okay.
And then she married into the Winchester family.
It's always a party when you're a party.
Yeah, I was gonna say partying's her middle name.
Pardee is her middle name. She was partying. She was doing it. And she was also super little. She was only 4'10" tall at her grown tallest she would ever be. And she weighed only 95 pounds.
A baby woman.
She was a baby woman. She was a little guy.
Baby woman, little guy, baby edition.
Have you seen that episode of Portlandia? And he's like, I'm a little guy.
Yes.
I'm just a little guy.
I'm just a little guy. Yeah.
That was her. And so she ended up marrying Oliver Winchester's only son. So Oliver Winchester started the whole rifle company. He had a son named William Wirt. His middle name is Wirt. I don't know. Maybe he's German, Wilhelm Wirt. That would make more sense, but I don't know. William Wirt Winchester.
I don't even know what to say. I feel like I should say something, but let the record show I don't know what to say.
I wrote these notes on Wednesday and I was reading them today and I was like, that can't be right. I need to check
that can't
this.
be right.
Yeah.
Also, I don't care. Let's do it.
No, I double checked. That was his real middle name. And so she married him. They assumed they knew each other since childhood. At the time they got married, like the Winchesters were doing great, but they weren't like at the peak of their success quite yet. Like they were rich, really rich, but like weren't quite there. And then Sarah's dad was wealthy, but like it's not like they were like insanely wealthy, but they got there. And so they married in September of 1862 and they lived in New Haven, Connecticut. They ended up having one child together whose name was Annie Pardee Winchester. And she was born on June 15th, 1866. And like really sadly, she died just over a month, about 6 weeks later in July. And I know, it was really sad. And Annie died of marasmus. I didn't practice saying this before.
Alec and I are
just thought she was going to say marijuana.
No. Marijuana is poison.
You guys,
don't touch it. Don't smoke it. Don't look at it. Don't talk about it.
I'm sorry.
A baby is dead.
You just said she died of Mary, and I looked at Hayley, and Hayley looked at me.
Okay,
I'm
calm
sorry.
yourselves. She died of marasmus. I don't know how to say it. It was it's
the devil's lettuce marasmus. I'm sorry, I'll edit this out.
You don't have to. Basically, this is starvation.
Oh no!
But it's not like they starved her. She was unable to process calories.
Yeah.
So really sadly, she just wasn't able to stay alive.
Did they make a grievance wreath?
Hair wreath for her? I don't think so. I don't know.
I would like to submit a grievance request for a wreath for my child who died of
marijuana.
Marijuana kills.
Oh, sorry.
The war on
Annie.
drugs. Drugs won apparently this week with Oregon.
Drugs really won.
Yeah,
I am so happy for Oregon. Great job, Oregon. And other states too. New Jersey legalized weed, but like Oregon was the real winner here. They decriminalized all drugs. Great job, Oregon. Pat on the back.
Hell yeah, keep it up.
Keep it up. So
not saying that I'm like for meth or heroin.
No,
but
you shouldn't
here
do
for,
drugs.
Like, we're here for decriminalizing.
Right.
We're here for making programs that make it easier to deal with encounters and addictions.
Yeah, you shouldn't be put in prison and convicted of a felony for having a small amount of drugs. You should get help.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on. So her daughter died, and then just over 10 years later, in 1880, her father-in-law, Oliver Winchester, died. And then not even a year after that, in 1881, her husband, William, died of tuberculosis.
Times were tough.
Times were really tough. This was really sad. Sarah did not take it well. She had just lost her only child that she would ever have. She lost her husband, who she had known since they were children. She was really distraught. She did inherit a lot of money. So she inherited $20 million, which was the equivalent of $529.9 million in today's money.
I'm not saying that I would easily be able to get over the death of my spouse and child, but money talks. I'm just kidding.
Talks, and we're not even done. Like
I'm like totally kidding, just to be clear. That is very traumatic.
It was very traumatic. But she
had
a lot of money.
Yeah, the pressure of not having to worry about supporting yourself and having a job while grieving is a huge relief.
Definitely. And like she was certainly privileged in a big way, but like also she was still really sad. And speaking of privilege in a big way, she not only got this huge lump sum, but she got 50% of the Winchester company, which brought in $1,000 per day. Which, do you want to know how much that was back then?
Yes, I really do.
She was getting $26,493 per day, just thrown into the bank every day.
Why am I a teacher when I could just be a gun manufacturer?
When I could just marry a rich gun manufacturer. Well, you're about to find out why that's not always a good thing.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm listening.
So she was now one of the richest women of her time, but of course she was struggling. She had just lost her only child, her husband. And she also, like, this sounds like a non-issue, but she also had this giant fortune thrust in her lap and she didn't really know what to do with it. Like, it kind of just added a lot of pressure. Granted, it was a huge privilege and it helped her, but like she was kind of a lost soul at this point. And so according to legend, she went to a medium for advice. And as the story goes, and I say story, a lot of people that report on this as fact, but we really don't know. A lot of historians are very skeptical of this, but take it for what you will. So she went to a medium, and this medium was able to channel her husband, William, and he told her that he and his daughter's deaths were caused by vengeful spirits who were killed by Winchester rifles, and that in order to protect herself from suffering the same fate, she needed to move west to California.
Okay, maybe that did happen, but let's say it didn't. Let's say it was her subconscious, like being like, okay, I don't really believe in, this business, perhaps. Wouldn't it seek vengeance on him? The one who's in the manufacturing of these guns? Or
I suppose,
would it be like,
but she's part of the family. She's benefiting from this fortune.
yeah, maybe it's like, let's hurt the ones he loves the most. And so
Yeah.
like he dies, he doesn't have to feel pain, but he has to know that she
I think he
exists
did feel
without-
pain. He died of tuberculosis. That's a terrible death.
Yeah, it is a terrible death. It's not what I meant though. I
Okay.
meant more that she has this elongated pain of losing your person and your child that she has to live through.
Okay, so you're saying she's the one suffering more. And it didn't seem like Oliver, who invented the fucking gun, suffered at all. So I don't know. Who knows what these spirits are thinking?
Who knows?
I'm not in their brains.
I will say I have seen a medium and did enjoy it very much. So I'm not.
What was her name? Miss Monica?
Miss Monica. Yes.
Haley and I's first bonding experience was going to a psychic together.
Yeah,
It was
we went
really
to a
fun.
psychic together and we were like, should we move in together?
Yeah, right afterward. I think we should.
History from there.
It was great. So she was supposed to move west to California, and she was supposed to use the Winchester fortune to build a home for the spirits who were murdered by Winchester rifles. And if she didn't do this, they would haunt her for the rest of her life.
A physical house for spirits.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the medium warned her, quote, "If you continue building, you will live. Stop and you will die." And she took this really seriously, according to legend. She moved west and she left her life as a popular, rich socialite and moved to San Jose, California. And in 1886, she bought an isolated 8-room farmhouse on a 40-acre ranch. And then from there, she started the largest home renovation possibly that the world has ever known. It was a home renovation that would go on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from the time she bought it in 1886 until her death in 1922.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. First of all, that's cool. I'd probably do the same thing. If a medium told me to renovate a house, I'd be so down. Yeah. And you have all the money in the world to pour into it.
Yeah. And she didn't just build for the sake of building. She made an incredible house. Maybe she was just having fun. I don't know.
In California too.
Yeah.
If Miss Monica told me to move to California, I'd be like, I am a surfer dude.
Let me buy the soul stick from Ralphie and Alice. And I'm there. So she bought this house, and it went from a 8-room farmhouse to at least 160 rooms. But sometimes new rooms are discovered. So
It's the
nobody
hotel.
really knows. It could be. It's huge. And it was at its peak, it was 7 stories high, 24,000 square feet. It had 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 52 skylights, 47 chimneys. Had a lot of taxes.
Wow. Yeah. So many taxes. I wonder how many actual fireplaces it had.
Maybe
There's fraudulent
there's a
activity in the
discrepancy,
air.
yeah. 13 bathrooms and 6 kitchens. There were never any blueprints drawn for this house. She would just design a new part and tell people to build it. It was built so quickly. There were no plans. Sarah hired teams of builders who worked around the clock day and night. They would split shifts so that someone was always working.
How did they even light that to work 24 hours?
How did they light it?
Yeah.
What do you
'cause
mean?
It's dark at night. And it was in the 1900s when they were building it.
She was
The
so
early-
bougie. She had electric lighting. She was a rich
Oh,
bitch.
she's got that DC power.
Yeah, it was a gaslit house. So it was gaslit.
What?
She was so, I mean, I have a whole thing on this, but she had so much money. She had like one of the very few houses with like switch powered gaslighting throughout the entire house.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's bougie.
It is bougie. Like I said, there were people working on this house all the time, except I did read some articles or I guess only one article by a historian who is a skeptic of this. And he cites letters from Sarah that like said like building did stop for brief periods of time, but for the most part, it was going all the time. It was a fact. It was going almost all the time. There were maybe some periods that it stopped, and it was rumored that as soon as she died, workers quit and left so abruptly that there are still unhammered nails sticking out of the walls.
Ooh.
So they were just working away for her. And then as soon as she was gone, it stopped. And allegedly, she communicated with ghosts in her seance room on how to design the house. So she spent a lot of time in her seance room, would talk to the spirits, and they would tell her what they wanted her to build for them.
I know what we need to do. We need to use our Ouija board on Night Creepy, which is, if you don't know, our Patreon show. We need to use it to figure out how we should design the guest room. That could
I thought
be
the guest room was
room.
done.
It is done, but we can redone it.
Okay, if you want to spend the money, I don't.
I feel like we could easily go to, like, we could spend $100 and have it redone.
But why? It looks fine.
The biggest guest room
I don't
renovation
care about
in
our guests that
history.
much.
Oh, well, I care about our Patreons, and I just thought it would be a cool thing to do.
I guess we could ask them how they want it. That doesn't mean we have to follow it.
That's true. Maybe we could just add a little touch here or there. Like,
Yeah.
more,
Just a little.
They're like more chic, more modern.
They're like, remove the 6 cat litter boxes and the 3 printers on the floor, and this will be a great space.
yeah. Add some more down lighting.
Put light bulbs in the overhead lighting.
Get some mustard curtains hanging and we'll be golden.
Ooh, literally. So the house, like they were building all the time and they were expanding it outward. So the house basically turned into a seemingly endless maze. There was no plan. It just expanded. So there were windows that were once exterior windows, and then like rooms were built on the other side of them. So there was like windows in every room that like you could look through all the rooms.
That's like when you go to that one like sketchy bar at your university and you're like, this mirror looks weird and it's at a weird placement. I can look at myself on the toilet and see all of me on the toilet.
Right.
Is this a mirror?
Is this on purpose? There's someone on the other side.
This mirror doesn't come off the wall.
What's the trick to tell if something's two-way glass?
So if you touch the mirror and it looks like your fingers are touching, then it's a window. But if it looks like there's a space in between your fingers, then it's a mirror.
There you go.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Check the
Checkmate.
sketchy bar windows.
Check mirror.
Yes, check it. There were windows everywhere, and like we said, Sarah was bougie. She a lot of these windows were like beautiful stained glass. A lot of them were designed like from Tiffany. Like they were expensive windows. They weren't just any windows. She one of her favorite symbols was the spider web. So a lot of these windows were embossed or printed with spider webs in silver. They were just gorgeous. Some were made so that light shining through them would cast prisms on the floor like rainbows. She spared no expense. Also, just like staircases were thrown in. So some of the staircases had different risers, so they'd have like this distorted like funhouse kind of look because they were just thrown in kind of haphazardly. Some staircases would go up multiple levels and then just run into a wall.
Ew. I
Yeah.
hate that. Why
Yeah.
do I hate it so much?
Because it's creepy and it makes no sense. But like the whole point for her was just to keep building. Like she would just come up with stuff so that people kept building and kept building. It never stopped. Sometimes stuff like that would just happen. Also, she was really tiny. And as she got old, she suffered from really bad arthritis. So
she shrank more.
And she had a hard time getting up normal sized stairs. So a lot of the stairs were taken out and replaced by these little tiny stairs where they'd only go up like 1 or 2 inches, so that she wouldn't have to step up very high.
Baby stairs.
Little baby stairs. Like everything was just kind of mismatched and distorted looking, because not all the stairs were little. There were even doorways that would run into walls. You could open some doorways and they would just maybe lead straight into another doorway, or maybe even open up and there's just a wall there.
That's life, man. Sometimes you walk through a door and another door is not
close.
there.
Yeah. You think you have a door and then there's not a door. And then there was even one door that opens up on the second floor and it just goes straight outside. So you got to be careful of that one.
I like that. I like that one. Don't like the stairways to nothing.
Got to be careful about those stairways to nothing. There were corners that would run around into dead ends. There's trap doors. There's windows in the floor that look down onto other floors. And some people think like she liked to spy and eavesdrop on like what people were doing in the kitchen. Like maybe that's a reason.
Who was there with her?
She had a ton of staff. Like this house was obviously huge. So she had gardeners, cooks, maids, workers, you name it. Like she had a ton of staff. She had like a 2-inch deep closets. Like you'd open up the closet in a bedroom and it was only going like 2 inches. just random stuff.
I know people like that.
Yeah.
What? Shallow people.
Shallow like one of Sarah's closets. Sarah was also very short, so a lot of the doorways were built to fit her size. They were like really tiny, and she would constantly, like I said, just come up with new projects that felt like the only purpose was to keep workers working. There was a lot of times no point. Like, for example, she insisted that the entire house be built of this really nice, expensive, beautiful redwood. And then as soon as all the redwood was put in and the house was built, she just decided she didn't like the color.
Oh my gosh, that's it. Okay, that's a little bit insane. At the very least, I don't know, change the tile, not the redwood. Did she paint over it?
She painted over the whole house.
God.
And it sounds bad, but if you look at pictures, it's still beautiful. It was done in like what they called Queen Anne style. So it's like kind of like pastel greens and whites. It still looks beautiful, but she painted over all the redwood. Some of the redwood she had painted over in brown and then painted with quill feathers so that it looked like wood.
Oh my God.
Like she had wood green painted over it.
Wow.
So that it just looked like wood, but a different color
She's
of wood.
bougie. My parents' bedroom was kind of painted like that when I was growing up.
Really?
It was literally gold paint. And we were not extremely wealthy or anything like that, but it was gold paint and it was textured and it was a little bit insane.
That sounds a little bit insane, but I kind of love it.
Yeah. I enjoyed being in that room.
I would like a gold bedroom with all purple velvet furnishings.
That would be comforting.
Yeah.
For some reason, it reminds me of being in the womb.
Ooh, maybe that's why people do it. Maybe that's what velvet is. It reminds us of the womb.
Yeah. Just a little, not scratchy, but I don't know how to describe velvet. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
I think it's soft, but Alec has a phobia of velvet.
Well, I have a weird condition where when I touch velvet, it like sends like shocks through my nervous system.
Yeah. One of my cousins has sensory defective disorder. You might have a little bit of that then, because
what is it?
So it's when you touch certain like textures and feel different like fabrics or like really anything that you can feel. It's a sensory thing. It just like you don't process it the right way. You don't process it like most people do. So that's what it sounds like.
It's unbearable to touch velvet.
Yeah,
that's
can't
probably
touch
what it
it.
is. That's like this person that I know, they couldn't do tags. They couldn't do lots of different fabrics. It would set them into this complete tantrum, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I've known a couple people with it, so I don't want to just say like it's like just my cousin. I don't mean to out that, but from the people that I know and what I've understand, especially like studying psychology, that it's just unbearable for you, and it may not make sense to other people around you.
Right, but I think a lot of people can identify with it, like whether or not it's a diagnosed condition. Like there's always stuff that like sets you off.
Yeah, or things that you like extra like too, which is not the same thing. But like I've known someone who likes to rub tags together, and it's just very pleasing. I've known multiple people who like to do that. So the way we process our senses is interesting.
Very interesting, and it's very different. So going back, she did paint all of it. She ended up covering the entire house in 20,000 gallons of paint.
What? That's a lot of gallons.
That's a lot of gallons. And Sarah was also obsessed with the number 13. The house had 13 paned windows, 13 paned ceilings, 13 bathrooms, and the 13th bathroom contained 13 windows. She also had 13 parts to her will and signed it 13 times. And like I was saying before, the house was not only wild, but like it was bougie. And I watched that YouTube video today and like saw the inside of the house, and it is gorgeous. Like she didn't just throw this together. It is truly stunning. Like it looks wacky because there's so much stuff in there that doesn't make sense, but like no expense was spared when it came with the furnishings and custom glass and custom wood. It just looks amazing. There were gold and silver chandeliers, Tiffany stained glass windows. Some of them were designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. And then rare for its time, the house had running hot water. Super rare for its time. And we already talked about the push button gas lighting. It also had forced air heat.
What?
Yeah. So it was like the bougiest of bougie of houses. But tragically in 1904, there was a big earthquake in San Francisco that ended up damaging a lot of the house. And so Sarah just kind of sealed up the parts that were destroyed.
Probably doesn't make that much of a difference to her.
Right. It's such a big house. She kind of just sealed it up. And some people speculate that maybe she thought that the spirits purposely knocked it down. And so like she was appeasing them by not rebuilding it.
I could see her thinking that and feeling that way.
Yeah. And like, or maybe it was just such a big house, it didn't matter. And then some historians who are like skeptics of the whole thing say that like this would explain some of the stairways that are leading to nowhere. Like it was just sealed up. But like looking at the house, I don't think that really is the explanation for everything. Sarah continued living in the stable parts of the house. Eventually the top 3 floors were removed because they were damaged so badly. So today the house only stands 4 stories tall instead of 7.
Whoa,
it's still
that's
huge.
Still massive.
Yeah.
Do you know what her favorite parts of the house was, or where she habitated it?
She allegedly, she had a favorite bedroom, and she was in the seance room a lot, and the seance room kind of overlooked the kitchen. And so she'd kind of like keep an eye on things from the seance room is kind of what I heard, but I don't really know a whole lot more than that. She was very private. We don't know really anything about her. She kept no journals, didn't write a lot of letters. There's only one known photo of her, and it's like this weird, like she's sitting in a carriage, and the picture was taken from pretty far back. She's just kind of an enigma, and that's, I think, why like there's so many rumors built up around her.
It makes her so much more interesting.
Exactly. And so throughout the years, Sarah, no one has like records that Sarah admits that she was building a house for ghosts, but contractors who worked on the house claimed that Sarah was holding daily seances with mediums in her seance room, trying to reach the good spirits. And like I said before, she would talk to these good spirits and ask them like how she can appease them, what they wanted her to do to the house. And then she would have people do it. And Sarah had no architecture background, but looking at this house, it's amazing that someone with no background in architecture could have like designed this house just by like telling carpenters what to do. It is truly amazing. Go on YouTube and look at some pictures and videos of this house, because
I'm so excited to see what this is all about. I can't wait to see the wood. Cool. I can't wait to see the wood painted over. I can't wait to see these freaking stairwells, these spider webs that you're talking about. Yeah. My grandma, I don't know if you will know what I'm talking about, but there was this chair. There was a spider web chair, and it was an oval. And the backing of the chair was an oval, and it was a spider web backing made out of wood. It was phenomenal.
In your great grandma's house?
My grandmother had it. I don't know where it went when she had a stroke. I was only in 7th grade. So it wasn't like I could pick and choose things, but I don't know if you know what I'm talking about when I say that small red side table we had it in our
wicker or no
we had it in our or in the dining room in our old house. That was one of her pieces. Like she was just very good at like selecting pieces that were different, and that was one of them, spider webs.
That is
that
so
just
cool.
stood out to me. So that's what it reminded me of. And if you looked very closely, there was like, if I remember it correctly, in the center there was like a little spider etched out in the wood.
That sounds amazing. I didn't even know that spider webs were like a thing back then. But
do they even stand for something? Is there
I don't
or a theme?
I don't know. Maybe I assume they symbolize something, but I don't know.
They have to. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I don't know what it is, but like if Sarah did believe in these spirits, they were definitely in the house. So Sarah, it seems like she believed in them. Out of the 13 bathrooms, only one was functional. And according to legend, that's because Sarah wanted to confuse any ghosts that wanted to haunt the spigot. So she didn't... The spigot, like where the water comes out. She wanted to confuse them. And there were sinks all throughout the house, but like only one of the 13 bathrooms worked. She would also sleep in a different bedroom every night because she didn't want the ghosts to haunt her. And she would like take a different route to the bedroom she was going to sleep in to evade the haunting from the spirits. And there were 40 bedrooms in all.
No. I mean, this just sounds, at this point, for a little while, I was on board. But at this point where she's sleeping in a different bedroom every single night, this sounds like a whole other level of paranoia. And it sounds extremely stressful to live in that state.
Yeah, I think, my takeaway is she was in a very heightened state of grief and anxiety. And this was kind of a manifestation of that. And when you have unlimited resources, your anxiety can manifest in building a huge house.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know, but I can imagine.
Yeah. There's all kinds of possibilities. So when Sarah died in 1922, she left all her belongings, all her money to her niece, Marion, but never left anyone the house. There was no mention of the house in her will.
Maybe she just wanted to be done with it. Maybe it was probably very stressful to keep coming up with things to do to keep the building going on for years.
Yeah, or maybe like she didn't want to burden Marion with having to appease the spirits in the house.
Yeah.
Or maybe she felt that the house belonged to the spirits. We don't know, but this adds to the mystery of the house. Since her death, like I said, nothing's really been uncovered about Sarah. Family didn't really talk about her. The house was auctioned off for $135,000 and
Whoa. That seems very low.
It was pretty low, even for the time. I don't know what it was, like how much that was in 1922, but it wasn't a ton. But the thought was that half of the house had fallen down. Like it was kind of, it was just
a little decrepit.
It was a little decrepit. It was kind of like, it was a treasure, but it was also, no one was really going to live in it. But it was opened up for public tours pretty quickly after she died. And since then it's been restored over and over again and open publicly for decades. New rooms are even sometimes discovered. Like in 2016, a secret attic was found, which had all kinds of stuff perfectly preserved from the Victorian era.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was like a time capsule. It was really cool. Yeah, it's open for tours. Guests can go and feel the mystery of the house and possibly its ghosts. Like we said, people think it's haunted. The house frequently makes it on America's top 10 most haunted lists. Skeptics and ghost hunters alike, including Houdini and our favorite Zach Baggins of Ghost Adventures, have visited and investigated the house. So quickly, a few ghost experiences. It's possible that some of the servants and workers who died remain on the property. Footsteps can be heard shuffling to and from Sarah's room. A common apparition, his name is Clyde. He is a man. He has black hair and a mustache, and people see him pushing a wheelbarrow.
Sounds like Tommy, black hair and a mustache.
Have you ever seen Tommy push a wheelbarrow?
He would never.
I can't imagine it.
He would never. He hates standing, let alone pushing a wheelbarrow.
I can't imagine it. Anyway, but like employees have been approached by people saying like, quote, hey, we really like the actor who was repairing the ballroom fireplace. He was wearing white overalls and a Victorian boater hat, but obviously like they hadn't hired an actor. People are just seeing a ghost dressed in Victorian clothes doing stuff.
I feel like things that you consciously say like, this is for the spirits in real life as we know it, that is something that could attract spirits.
Yeah.
And I think that this place definitely attracted spirits.
I think it did too. And like, yeah, there's just an aura of mystery. And I think that's going to create something, some kind of energy, no matter what it is.
Yeah, a lot of open doors.
Definitely.
And closed doors, apparently.
And doors that go nowhere. So during the 1906 earthquake, Sarah had gotten trapped in her bedroom. And she was so traumatized by this, she sealed off her bedroom. But 100 years later, when the house was being restored for tours, they cleaned it out and opened it. And so a common thing is like hearing like a disapproving sigh, like Sarah's like not happy that you're in her space. People may have their skirts or shirts tugged on as they tour the house. Employees hear footsteps in off-limits areas, and then when they investigate, there's no one there. Sometimes you can catch shapes or blurs in photographs. An architectural historian once visited the house to assess who created the stained glass windows in a certain part. And so he made his guess, and then the next day, a restorer uncovered a perfectly preserved envelope in the wall that had been there 125 years, and it was from the Pacific American Decorative Company, which was the company that the historian had guessed designed the windows. Maybe that's a crazy coincidence. Maybe it's spiritual intervention.
I vote not.
I vote not too. The ghost stories really don't end. I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. But like, I think the real mystery is why Sarah built this house. Maybe it really was to appease spirits. A lot of people dismiss these legends as rumors. I mean, she was this like mysterious woman who didn't really socialize with the outside in this small town, was building this crazy house. Like, rumors are gonna happen. There's not a lot of written record from Sarah about what she was doing, so we don't know for sure. There's other rumors. One theory thinks that maybe she was part of some secret society like the Rosicrucians or the Freemasons, and that there was some kind of secret message encrypted into the house. I think that's kind of far-fetched. But her father was a Freemason.
Oh, well.
So maybe. Others note that Sarah was a philanthropist. She was always doing things for charity. She once built a hospital in her husband's name. And so some people say that maybe this was her way of giving back to the people of San Jose, because she was employing a lot of people. She paid her workers double what they would be paid elsewhere. Some people worked for her up to 40 years. She even, like some of her workers that had families, if they couldn't afford a place to live, she would build houses for them and let them live for free on her property. So she was incredibly generous. Some people believe like maybe this was just like her way to feel useful and feel like she had value and to give back after her family had been taken from her.
I think it's probably a combination of all of these things.
Yeah.
Her mental state, her trauma that she went through, and then just wanting to feel needed. Maybe a little touch of the, her father being a Mason. Maybe there's a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, I think it's probably ultimately a combination. Like you said, her mental state, maybe she was driven a little bit mad with grief, and the constant home improvement was a distraction from the sadness of losing her family. She also, I guess, like had really fond memories of building her New Haven home with her husband. And so maybe this kind of reminded her of that and helped keep his memory alive, especially if the medium thing was true, that this maybe was a way to connect to her husband and appease him and the spirits. Who knows? Maybe she just liked building. I mean, she was getting over 26,000 a day and had no one really to spend it on.
Yeah, Amazon did not exist back then.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to build 13 more rooms this week.
Why not? And to Sarah, why not? It's a mystery. Nobody knows. It's called the Winchester Winstery. The Winchester Mystery. And it was called that for a reason. It's a mystery. No one really knows for sure, but either way, it's an incredible piece of architecture, and we are grateful that it exists.
Can we go on a field trip to in San Jose?
Yeah, next time I'm in Northern California, I'm definitely going.
Wait, but I want to go together.
Okay, donate to us on Patreon.
Field trip.
Please. And so if you want to support our trip to the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, or if you just appreciate and like the show and want to see some extra content, you can head to our Patreon, patreon.com/nightclassy, and donate at any level for access to all our content. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, recommend us to a friend, follow us on social. We would appreciate it.
Yeah, all I have to say to that is ditto. She covered it so well. Thank you for that lesson. Are you ready?
Yeah. Thank you guys. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.